Welcome to the TBC Podcast, your source for captivating audiobooks. Don't forget to subscribe and like for more. Today we're diving deep into a story that'll stick with you, The Door in the Wall. This tale, it isn't just about a hidden garden. It's about those yearnings we all have, the paths not taken, and that question of whether true happiness lies within or without. Our main character, Lionel Wallace, is a man who seems to have it all, a successful politician, respected and admired, but beneath that polished surface, there's this restlessness, a longing that comes from a childhood memory. A memory so vivid it feels more real than reality itself. So picture this young Lionel, just a boy exploring those back streets of London. And he stumbles upon something extraordinary. A long white wall stretches before him, stark and imposing, and set within it a single green door. Now, for most kids, this would be just another detail of the cityscape, but for Lionel, it's an irresistible beacon, a pull towards something he can't quite name. He pushes the door open and steps into a world that's the polar opposite of his everyday life. This isn't just any garden. It's a paradise bursting with vibrant colors. Exotic animals, think panthers roaming freely. And this atmosphere of pure joy and belonging, imagine the contrast for a young boy whose life is probably filled with rules, expectations. What he finds in this garden isn't just beauty, though it's a sense of completion, like he's found a missing piece of himself. He plays with other children who welcome him instantly, their laughter echoing through the sun-drenched courtyards. He encounters a mysterious book that seems to show him his own life story. Culminating in his arrival at this very garden, it's as if this place was always meant to be his destiny. But like all good things, this idyllic interlude can't last. The garden vanishes as quickly as it appeared, leaving Lionel back in the drab reality of the London streets. He tries to tell others about what he saw, but of course no one believes him. They say it's just a child's fantasy, a figment of his imagination. Now here's where the story gets really interesting. That green door, it becomes a recurring motif in Lionel's life, popping up at pivotal moments as if fate itself is offering him a choice. He encounters it as a driven schoolboy, then again as a young man striving for a scholarship, and later as a rising politician with his sights set on power. Each time the door appears, Lionel is faced with the same decision: step through and embrace a life of pure joy and fulfillment, or turn away and continue on the path of ambition and worldly success. And each time, what do you think he chooses? That's right, he chooses the world. He chooses the path that promises success and recognition, even though deep down he yearns for something more. What's fascinating here is that Lionel isn't some heartless automaton. He feels the pull of the garden. He remembers the joy he experienced there. But he's also bound by the logic of his world, the belief that success and happiness are found through achievement and external validation. So he pushes down that inner yearning, tells himself the garden was just a childish dream. And yet as he climbs the ladder of success, that nagging feeling of regret never truly leaves him. The world starts to lose its shine. His accomplishments feel hollow because he's constantly measuring them against the memory of that lost paradise. The story takes on an almost tragic dimension, because you see Lionel becoming a prisoner of his own choices. He's trapped in a cycle of striving and achieving, yet never truly finding the fulfillment he craves. And all because he keeps choosing the door that leads him further away from his own heart. Now, this might seem like a simple story about a man and his lost garden, but I think it speaks to something much deeper, something universal. Don't we all have our own green doors, those moments where we're presented with a choice between what we're told we should want and what our hearts truly desire? Think about it, those times when you had to choose between a safe, predictable path and one that called to your soul. Even if it seemed risky or unconventional, maybe as a career choice, a relationship, a creative pursuit, whatever it was. I bet you can remember that feeling of being pulled in two directions, the tension between logic and longing. Lionel's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the most important journeys are the ones that lead us inward, that help us reconnect with that sense of wonder and joy that's often buried beneath the weight of our responsibilities and ambitions. It's a reminder that true happiness might not be found in achieving some external goal, but in rediscovering that inner garden, the place where we feel truly alive and connected to something bigger than ourselves. So as we delve deeper into Lionel's story, I want you to keep this question in mind. What would you have done? Would you have walked through that green door, embraced the unknown? Or would you have chosen the familiar path, even if it meant sacrificing a piece of your soul? Because ultimately, that's the question we all have to answer at some point in our lives. Now, as Lionel's story unfolds, it takes a turn that's both tragic and strangely fitting. Remember how he kept encountering that green door throughout his life? Well, one evening, after confiding in a friend about his longing for the garden, he disappears.
It's as if he's finally stepped through that elusive threshold, vanished into the very mystery that's haunted him for so long. And then the news breaks. Lionel Wallas's body has been found at the bottom of a deep excavation pit near a London train station. Think about the irony here. This man who climbed the heights of political power, a master strategist who meticulously planned every step of his career, meets his end in a seemingly random accidental fall. It just doesn't add up, does it? What makes it even more chilling is the detail that led to his demise, a small door in the hoardings surrounding the excavation pit left unlocked due to a simple miscommunication. And it's through this seemingly insignificant door that Lionel walks to his death. You can't help but wonder, was it truly an accident? Or did Lionel, in his state of despair, subconsciously mistake that crude opening for his long-sought door in the wall? Did the dim lights of the station transform the rough timber into a semblance of white, echoing those childhood memories? The circumstances of his death raise more questions than answers, and the biggest one of all, did the garden even exist? Was it a real place hidden somewhere in the labyrinth-themed streets of London? Or was it a figment of Lionel's imagination, a product of his longing for a simpler time, a world untouched by the complexities and disappointments of adult life? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between. Maybe the garden was real in its own way, a symbolic landscape representing Lionel's internal struggles and desires. Think about it for a moment. What does the secret garden represent to you? It could be the beauty and innocence of childhood, a time of pure joy and boundless possibility that we inevitably lose as we grow older. Or maybe it symbolizes a yearning for a different kind of life, a life free from the constraints of ambition and societal expectations, a life lived in harmony with nature, filled with genuine connection and guided by something deeper than the pursuit of worldly success. Whatever the garden represented, it held an undeniable power over Lionel. It haunted his thoughts, shaped his choices, and ultimately led him to his tragic end. But here's the thing. Lionel's story isn't just about him, it's about all of us. It's about the choices we make, the paths we choose, and the dreams we hold on to or let slip away. It's a mirror reflecting our own yearnings, our own search for meaning and happiness in a world that often feels chaotic and unfulfilling. So as we reach the final part of this deep dive, I want you to consider this. What will you take from Lionel's story? Will you see it as a cautionary tale, a warning against chasing illusions and neglecting the present for the sake of what might be? Or will you see it as a testament to the enduring power of hope, a reminder that even in the face of loss and disappointment, there's always something worth seeking, something that can give our lives meaning and purpose? Maybe the truth about the door on the wall is far simpler and far more profound than we imagine. Maybe it wasn't about a literal place, but like a state of being, a way of seeing the world. Maybe the garden represents those moments of pure joy and connection we all experience, those times when we feel truly alive, present, and at peace with ourselves and the world around us. Perhaps those moments are our own personal gardens, glimpses of a reality that exists beyond the everyday. Maybe they're found not through searching, but through surrendering to the present moment, through appreciating the beauty in the ordinary and finding wonder in the smallest of things. Think about your own life, those times when you felt a sense of awe or inspiration, a connection to something larger than yourself. Those are your doors in the wall, your glimpses of the garden. Maybe it's the laughter of a child that just melts your heart, or the way the sunlight filters through the trees, creating patterns of light and shadow, or the feeling of sand between your toes as you walk along the beach, or the moment you connect with a stranger and feel a spark of shared humanity. These moments are fleeting, yes, but they're also reminders that the garden exists within us all. It's not a place we need to seek, but a way of seeing, a way of being. Perhaps Lionel Wallas's tragedy wasn't that he never found the garden, but that he stopped seeing it. He became so focused on his ambitions, on achieving worldly success, that he lost sight of the beauty and wonder that surrounded him. He forgot how to open the doors that were right in front of him, the doors that led to the garden within. The challenge for us is to remember to keep our hearts and minds open to the possibility of magic, to appreciate the small wonders of life, to find joy in the everyday. The garden isn't lost. It's waiting for us to see it, to step through the doors that are always there, if we only know how to look. So the next time you feel lost or disillusioned, remember Lionel Wallas and his search for the door in the wall. Remember that the garden is closer than you think. It's within you, and it's waiting for you to come home. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the door on the wall. If you enjoyed this exploration of longing, loss, and the search for true happiness, don't forget to subscribe and like for more captivating audiobooks from TBC Podcast.